Welcome to Artificial Intelligence in Education, AI and Natural Interaction. The lecture will begin with a short introduction and present you the learning outcomes, and then move on to talk about natural interaction, including speech, gestures, and effect, before coming to a close. The lecture content explores how artificial intelligence and humans process and communicate using natural interaction. Aspects of natural language processing, including those of understanding and generation, are examined. In addition, the wider aspects of speech, gesture, and effect, and the benefits and limitations of each of these when interacting with AI systems are discussed. There are 3 learning outcomes. The first, identify different types of natural interaction and explore a number of examples. 2, understand the benefits and limitations behind natural interaction with AI. And 3, determine the impact of natural interaction on how AI and humans communicate. A major goal of AI systems is to make the experience of interacting with a machine as natural as possible. Natural interaction in AI is the ability of an AI system to sense, process, and respond appropriately to human behavior. To learn more about this topic, you might choose to view natural interaction in AI systems, and the link for that is on screen. Natural interaction is used in many AI applications, from Google Docs, suggesting words and phrases to improve our writing, to Alexa, playing our favorite type of music by voice command. However, achieving the level of natural interaction and understanding that we humans have with each other and our environment is no simple task for machines. Machine learning algorithms can interpret large amounts of unstructured data in the form of documents, images, videos, sounds, emails, social media feeds, and other information that is not organized or formatted for easy processing. However, AI systems that use natural interaction must be able to interpret the many forms of unstructured data that come from interacting with humans. AI systems that use natural interactions often use a combination of machine learning models to find patterns and make meaning of the information they receive. A machine learning model is used to make predictions after the AI system has been trained with data. During training, information is passed through an algorithm or an instruction for how to solve a problem, which finds patterns in the data. The output of the training process in a machine learning model is then used to make predictions. AI systems that use natural interactions apply a number of these machine learning models to process information. Yet, understanding information is only one part of natural interaction. The AI system must also be able to respond in a way that is understandable, appropriate, and useful to a human, or to another AI for that matter. Massive amounts of data from human interaction help to train machines on how to interpret and respond to humans appropriately. With machine learning, AI systems continue to improve their understanding of human intent, that is, what we want, and are able to respond more accurately. Processing natural interactions. Humans communicate in a variety of ways, through spoken and written language, through gestures and body language, and through facial expressions and emotions. A very simple illustration of how AI systems process natural human communication is illustrated in Figure 5.1. So here we can see that the machine receives input in terms of images, speech, text, and video. The machine looks for patterns and similarities based on training data to identify that input. The machine classifies and labels the information. It then determines the appropriate response and responds naturally. 3 areas of natural interaction are speech, effect, and gestures. Speech is that of spoken language. Gestures refers to hand and body movements, and effect is the outward expression of emotional states. Speech. Natural interaction through speech. AI systems must be able to accurately recognize and understand speech to communicate effectively with humans and to perform tasks. Using voice assistants such as Alexa, Google Assistant, or Siri is an example of natural interaction through speech. Voice assistants, also called virtual or digital assistants, are cloud-based systems that respond to spoken requests and simplify our communication with technology. Some voice assistants can be integrated with apps and other devices like smart speakers, appliances, and even cars, which further expand their capabilities. Natural language processing, or NLP. As humans, we write and speak in many languages and spend a great deal of time learning them for high-stakes purposes, for example, to pass entrance exams for promotions and raises, and so on, and for low-stakes reasons too, such as personal enrichment. However, a computer's native language, machine code, is incomprehensible to many people. How is it then that Alexa and Siri can understand us when we speak to them? This process relies on the ability of an AI system to engage with natural language processing, to fill the gap between human language and computer understanding. Voice assistants are one of the most commonly used AI applications that rely on NLP to function. As devices, voice assistants can be extremely convenient in daily life, as well as for those members of society who are visually impaired or have mobility challenges. The steps involved when using a voice user interface with a digital assistant are illustrated in Figure 5.2. And here we can see that first the human speaks, the device activates, the device understands the spoken intent, the device then executes an action, and the device provides feedback in human language. So, NLP helps computers communicate with humans in our language and makes other language-related tasks more efficient. With NLP, computers can read text, hear speech, interpret words, measure sentiment, and determine which parts of that speech are important. NLP interprets human language using many different techniques. For example, statistical and machine learning methods, as well as rules-based and algorithmic approaches. Essentially, NLP tries to understand the relationship between the words and explores how the pieces work together to create meaning. In summary, NLP is responsible for understanding meaning and structure of a given text or speech. To further your understanding on this topic, you may wish to view Introduction to Natural Language Processing, and the link for that is on screen. Natural language processing, understanding, and generation. For humans, learning a new language can be difficult. The language in the textbook that we use may not match real-world language use, as language constantly changes. New words become popular and different ways of speaking become normal. Further, there are a variety of accents and people speak in a different pitch and volume. For AI to understand our speech, it needs to be able to process it effectively and respond to it accurately. The data coming into a digital assistant, for example, when you talk to it, is unstructured data. We are not training the digital assistant on anything. We are simply providing it with data. Sometimes, the digital assistant may not be able to process this data and might respond with phrases like, "I'm sorry, I didn't get that." So, in the process of NLP, a digital assistant might convert your speech to text, analyze the text, respond with text, and convert that text to speech for you to hear. Natural language understanding is what allows an AI to comprehend written and spoken speech and in turn respond using a process called natural language generation. You might recall that such processes have seen AI algorithms produce screenplays such as Sunspring that have then been acted out. And there's a link to that on screen if you wish to go and have a look at it. And if you find that interesting, you might want to watch the sequel, It's No Game. For now, though, let's look at the IBM Watson Natural Language Understanding Text Analysis demo. Copy some text that you may have produced, such as an email, or copy the text of a news article, so that we can have Watson analyze it. As you do this, notice how it identifies language in different ways, and the confidence levels that it provides for each. Take 3 minutes to do this, and the link to follow is on screen. Benefits and limitations of AI applications using natural language processing. There are a number of AI applications that use natural interaction through language, and some of these are presented here, along with their benefits and limitations. Autocorrect and predictive text. Benefits. Programs with autocorrect features like Microsoft Word or Google Docs check for grammar and spelling mistakes and offer suggestions to improve writing. Predictive text suggests the next word or phrase for more efficient writing as well. Limitations. Some text may be flagged even if it is not an error due to nuances in human language. And predictions may be incorrect because the program may not fully understand your intent. Document analysis. Benefits. AI systems extract data from documents, typed or handwritten, classify the information, and analyze it for you, saving you a lot of time. Document analysis helps doctors scan medical data and generate diagnosis and treatment plans. Spam filters scan incoming emails for unwanted and harmful content and prevent that from showing up in your inbox. News feeds can be curated based on your preferences, and social media tagging influences your feed as well. Limitations of document analysis is that it's not a perfect science and important information may be missed. A machine learning algorithm that filters your email can make mistakes, and some emails that might be useful to you could be sent to your spam folder. Speech-to-text (STT) and text-to-speech (TTS). Benefits. Speech-to-text allows you to translate spoken words into text across multiple applications, and it's useful for things like hands-free texting, dictating voicemail messages, or creating a quick transcript or video captioning. Text-to-speech allows your messages to be read aloud by the computer or device. It also helps those who are visually impaired or who need reading support to listen to written words on the screen. Limitations are that some text or speech can be rendered incorrectly, as the machine does not always capture variations in pronunciation or cannot distinguish background noise. Words that are unfamiliar, either written or spoken, may also be generated incorrectly. Translation apps. Benefits. Translation apps translate spoken or written text from one language to another so that you can quickly understand the other language and communicate. Limitations are that the nuances and cultural differences between languages are not always detected, and your translation could be incorrect. Customer service calls and chatbots. Benefits of these are that automated customer service calls and chatbots can more efficiently address questions that can be easily understood by a machine. And this frees up time for real people to address complex problems and reduces customer wait times. As this technology evolves, machine agents and chatbots are communicating in more natural ways. Limitations here are those that, we can see sometimes the agent or chatbot does not understand your intent or has not been trained on the unique problem that you are experiencing and is therefore unable to address your question. Also, some people are frustrated by the use of automated technology and just want to talk to a person. Natural language engagement. Speech. Voice commands. Spend 5 minutes and use Mixlab to explore how a machine listens to commands and provides music to correspond with those commands. Select the Preview It Here link, and using the microphone on your device, tell Mixlab to add Motown drums or add an indie pop synthesizer. Then listen to the music it creates, and the link to follow is on screen for that. speech-to-text, and text-to-speech. AI-supported speech-to-text and text-to-speech tools can be powerful accessibility options in the classroom. Speech Notes is an online notepad with both speech-to-text and text-to-speech capabilities. Try out this technology for 5 minutes and think about how this or similar tools might help your students. You may even want to push its limits and test how it reacts to different accents or colloquialisms. As you do, consider how the quality of the AI tool might affect the quality of support for diverse students, and how foreign and second language learners might go with such a system. And the link for that is on screen. Gestures. Natural language processing enables AI systems to recognize, interpret, and respond appropriately to human speech. Like speech, gestures are a natural form of human communication that can be recognized by machines. Gesture recognition is the ability of a machine to sense and interpret human hand and body movements, including facial expressions and eye movements. Gesture recognition involves cameras, computer vision, and image processing. Perhaps you've swiped over your phone to open up an application, smiled at a camera to automatically take a photograph, or used hand movements to play a video game. You might have also used the posed feature of the teachable machine. And all of these are examples using gesture recognition technology. Do note that just because a technology can sense motion, this does not mean that it contains AI. There are motion sensors that are not smart, such as the automatic doors at a grocery store. For example, if you roll the ball toward an auto door sensor, it may detect motion and then open. What would make such a door smart, or one powered by AI, is when it will only open for certain humans based on their features and not open for animals or inanimate objects. So it is the type of processing behind the motion that makes it AI. Figure 5.3 provides a simple outline of how gesture recognition works. Imagine a person waving at a device's camera to have it take a photograph. So first the human makes a gesture in front of a device's camera. The camera captures an image. Gesture recognition technology encodes that image. The system looks for patterns in the image data. The system then determines the gesture's meaning from image data and past learning. Then the system determines the action to take based on prediction. And then it would execute the action. Benefits and limitations of gesture recognition systems. There are a number of AI applications that use natural interaction through gestures, and some of the benefits and limitations are presented here. Benefits. Hand gesture recognition. Hand gesture recognition eliminates the need for physical contact with a machine, allowing a person to operate and communicate with the machine using only a series of finger and hand movements. Wheelchairs, cars, and other smart devices equipped with gesture recognition can be controlled with a wave of a hand or other specific hand gestures, often simplifying device control. Surgeons can use hand recognition technology to examine a patient's x-rays without having to remove their gloves during operations. Sign language speakers can have their words translated for the hearing. Facial gesture recognition. Facial gesture recognition allows a person to communicate with the machine through facial expressions, including subtle movements of the eyes. This is especially helpful for people who are unable to move their hands or other parts of their bodies, including their heads. Facial gesture recognition can also provide valuable information to educators about how a student is reading. Facial gesture recognition can help in gathering information about emotional states as well. Sign language recognition. Certain types of gesture recognition systems can transcribe sign language into text or speech. This helps a person who is nonverbal to communicate. Limitations. Sometimes gesture recognition systems are unable to detect motions because of factors like distance from the sensor, or there might be too many people in view to accurately recognize a particular motion that one person performs. As there is no universal language of gestures, it can be difficult for a machine to identify some motions. Different people use different gestures. Different cultures can use the same gesture for completely different meanings. Some positive gestures in one region are culturally offensive in others. Affect. Affective computing uses speech recognition, gesture recognition, and human biological signs to understand and respond to human emotional states. Affective computing is the ability of a machine to sense, interpret, process, and respond appropriately regarding a human's emotional state. Figure 5.4 provides an outline of how affective computing works. We can see that here the system captures affective data about the human, so things based on speech, body language, and biological signs. Then features are extracted from the data collected, so looking at things like tone of voice, words spoken, heart rate, facial expressions, and so on. The system then looks for patterns in the data, and of course based on previous data and past learning. The system then evaluates the person's effect, and then it determines an appropriate response, finally executing that response. Human emotion is complex and can be expressed through multiple channels, including what we say, our tone of voice, rate of speech, loudness, and so on. Our emotions are also expressed through our facial expressions and body language. Additional biological features such as heart rate, muscle movements, and changes in our sweat glands that can be detected by sensors on our skin can also indicate our emotional state. Effective computing can recognize all of these features of a person's emotional state, find patterns in the information, and evaluate those patterns in order to respond appropriately, often simulating human emotions in its response. Benefits and limitations of effective computing. Effective computing is an evolving field of AI. Several promising applications are being developed to support people across a number of fields, from education, medicine, and retail to robotics and social monitoring. Benefits. Education. Effective computing can evaluate students' behaviors during class and provide teachers with information about what students appear interested, bored, and when they are paying attention, or whether they are frustrated or nervous, among other emotions. This information can assist a teacher who might then consider adjusting their teaching to meet the emotional needs of the students. This technology is currently being used in some schools in China, where AI cameras, along with special headbands that detect brainwaves, collect information about students and provide reports to parents and teachers. Effective computing can also be used in adaptive tutorial systems to monitor students' emotional states and behaviors during learning and make appropriate adjustments to instruction. Medicine. Effective computing can evaluate a patient's emotional state and support a health professional by assisting with the diagnosis and treatment of a health condition. Effective computing can also help healthcare workers decide when patients need medicine or who should be seen first in the waiting room. Retail. Effective computing can evaluate a customer's emotions when they are browsing and looking at products while they shop, or when they see specific advertisements. This information can then assist retailers in determining the interest level of consumers in certain products and in making predictions about whether a product will be well received. Robotics. Applying effective computing to robotics. Applying effective computing to robots can enhance a robot's natural interaction with a human. There have been promising results from human-robot interaction with autistic children and social interaction, as the robot is able to recognize and relay people's emotions, which is a challenge for those with autism. Robots equipped with effective computing can also support human well-being by acting as an empathetic companion that can stimulate positive emotions and moods. For example, social robots and robot pets. Social monitoring. Effective computing can be used to monitor the emotions of a driver and passengers in a car and send alerts if the driver shows signs of sleepiness or anger. Providing such information can help keep the driver and other passengers safe. During human and computer interactions, effective computing systems could mirror a human's persona and provide that person with information about their emotional state. Imagine a computer sending you a warning prior to posting an angry message on social media, or suggesting music to play to help you move toward a more positive emotional state if it senses that you are feeling lonely or depressed. Limitations. Effective computing draws upon all areas of natural interaction and requires the ability to interpret many different types of behaviors. Natural interaction must also take into account cultural and social conventions, which is a difficult task for machines as it requires a deeper level of understanding about the world and the nature and complexity of human beings. While there have been promising AI systems that can detect and evaluate human behavior, these systems are not perfect. The sensors can be unreliable, for example, if not worn properly. Thus, results may prove inaccurate. Subtle changes in facial expression and body movements are also sometimes difficult for machines, as well as people, to detect and interpret. Education. In education, students may feel increased stress and pressure to perform if they are constantly being monitored while they are learning. And this could have a negative impact on the learning process because emotional state impacts ability to learn. Autocorrect. Over-reliance on these applications can hinder the learning process if students don't get enough practice with generating their own writing and learning how to find and correct their own mistakes. Digital assistants. The voice data transmitted to the cloud for analysis is often stored permanently, raising privacy concerns. The rationale for storing such data long-term is that the individual's question and answer sessions are often used by the assistant to improve its machine learning model so that it can increase the accuracy of its responses. Right now, let's take a look at Workbook Activity 5.1. Here, you'll need to examine the links on screen and explore at least one of them for this activity. Aim to explore the technology for around 10 minutes, and for the one that you have chosen, answer Workbook Activity questions 5.1a through 5.1d. The technologies are Effectiva. So for this system, you need to choose a video to watch and see how accurate the program is at determining your emotional engagement as you watch that video. IBM Personality Insights. For this particular technology, when engaging with this system, aim to see how well the tool can evaluate personality traits, emotions, and affect from someone's writing. For the sentiment classifier, when you look at this system, add text that you have written or text written by someone else that expresses an opinion, emotion, or mood, and see how well the program can classify the text. For the Talk to Transformer technology, with this system, begin typing content into the box. Perhaps you are drafting an email to a family member or a friend. You may want to begin writing a story. Anything's okay, but see how well the program understands what you are writing and predicts or inspires your next words. Once looking at one of those technologies, answer the questions 5.1a. Which AI technology did you choose? 5.1b. What area or areas of natural interaction does the program address? Speech, gesture, or effect? 5.1c. Was the response to your input expected and accurate? And why do you think that is? Question 5.1d. How might an application like this be used to help people learn or improve their skills? Take 10 minutes and go ahead and do that now. In this lecture, you discovered the various types of natural interaction that AI applications can utilize, along with their benefits and limitations. You also explored a number of examples of natural interaction to understand how they work, and you have come to understand how the impact of natural interaction with AI can impact humans. I would like to thank you for taking the time to listen to this lecture, and I trust that you have found it interesting and worthwhile and have learned something in the process. Thank you.